Hi guys, not everyone in our team
is a computer scientist. Right behind the table is sitting Andrea, our project lead, and she's actually a social scientist. She studies political science in Glasgow, and she spent a year in Azerbaijan. And she's now gonna lead a panel discussion with two very interesting hosts, whom she's gonna introduce you in a second. Andrea Komova, our project lead, in the panel discussion.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm really glad that you are joining in to have this panel discussion with us. We are just setting up some things so that it will work, so bear with us, and we will start at half. So we are just waiting for our participants to join in, and I hope you will enjoy that. Folks, let me introduce you two very interesting people who created their own businesses in a very young age. The first of them is Josef Maruščák. Josef Maruščák is a Slovak guy who studied at Cambridge, a BA in law. He created Kurt Kant, and he's currently a CEO there. He was ranked in Forbes 30 under 30 in 2019, and he used to do academic debate, and he can speak 5 languages. Hello, Josef, do you hear us?
Hi, I can hear you well.
Okay, cool. And the second panelist that we
Samuel Hapak. He's currently a CEO at Vacuum Labs. He's again a very young person who is holding a really big position and who is believing in innovations. He studied at Faculty of Mathematics, Physics and Informatics at Comenius University in Bratislava. And he used to work on similar projects as we do with our hackathon. He worked with Trojsten, and he also was helping young people to become like their better selves. So Samuel, do you hear us?
Yeah, hello. I'm really glad, and thank you for inviting me.
Okay, cool. So if I may proceed, I will start with the first set of questions. Basically, the whole topic of this panel discussion is whether 21st century is the century of young people in innovations and business. You are both young. You are both, oh, I forgot to mention that Samuel is also ranked in Forbes 30 under 30 2020. So you are both young and very successful. And I would like to ask you a little bit about your know-how, about the challenges that you encountered and so on. So first of all, I gave a brief introduction about yourselves, but if I can ask you for something further and maybe also about your businesses. So Josef, if you may start.
Okay, so thanks for the invitation, first of all. So as you mentioned, I studied law at Cambridge for 3 years. During my studies, we have established a startup. We've played around with different ideas and different projects. And in my 3rd year, we were essentially fully committed to running the business. The startup's name is Quant, and we specialized in predicting key legal case attributes using AI. What does it mean? Essentially, we were able to tell you by giving us some basic information about your case, such as who are the parties, who are the judges, who are the lawyers involved, what is the case about, etc. We were able to tell you with 70+% accuracy what will be the outcome of the case. Now, there's a slight change in my career at this point because we are not running the company anymore. We have decided to sort of, we're planning an exit. We'll see what will happen. But right now I've joined Sugo Labs, which is leading business development there, which is a very similar company to where Samuel is working and what Samuel established. So it's a nice coincidence at this point.
Okay, cool. Samuel, can you continue? Like, can you elaborate on yourself and introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So I'm father of 2. My youngest son is 3 months. So
congratulations.
Thank you very much. So currently I enjoy all the diapers, even though I must say that my wife has it much harder because when I'm at work, she has to deal with two children right now, and I imagine she has much more challenging job than I do. So maybe she should be here and she should speak. Besides that, I started with weightlifting. So I'm doing barber training, and it's a lot of fun. I recommend it to everyone. And yeah, if you want to follow something, I recommend the book Starting Strength.
Okay, check this out. Who did write it?
Mark Rippetoe.
Okay. Why did the book interested you?
Well, when I turned 30, I realized I'm not really young anymore.
Okay.
And that it's the right time to start doing something about my body before it disassembles itself.
What about you, Joseph? Do you exercise? Whether you exercise?
There was a question to me.
Yeah, on you.
Yeah, yes. Well, I run every day, and then I do also weightlifting like three times a week, and I also did boxing. I'm addicted to the feeling after you work out, so it's kind of the same as I'm addicted to smoking cigarettes. So at least this is a better addiction.
Yeah, you just put it on the way.
Yeah.
I'm
Exactly.
a long distance runner, so I can relate. Like sport is really important if you want to like have a really if you have a stressful professional life, you need a place where you can relax.
It's mentally very important thing to do.
Yes, definitely. Samuel, can you tell us something about Vacuum Labs and your business?
Yeah. So our business is essentially very straightforward. What we do is that we are actually a consortium of multiple companies, and we are adding 1, 2, or 3 companies per year to the group. So what we essentially do is we do a lot of stuff. So we have lawyers, we have bankers, we have data scientists, we have financial advisors, etc., etc., etc. So speaking about Vacuum Labs is one part of this business, of the bigger Vacuum group. And Vacuum Labs is the software division of Vacuum Group, which has a lot of synergistic effects. First of all, through Vacuum Labs, we are able to support all of these spin-offs of ours, and thus we are able to, when you start a new company, technology is very often one of the biggest risks there. We are able to de-risk our businesses by knowing that we know a lot of stuff about technology, so we can guarantee that our technology will be working correctly, which is a huge benefit there. And besides that, we just build banks. We go to Hong Kong, Singapore, and other countries, and we build bank there.
Okay, that sounds interesting. As I mentioned, you are both very young and really successful, and you started doing business at a very young age. So I want to ask you, like, what was the driving force behind your decision to start with these businesses at such a young age? Why have you chosen sport? Joseph, you can start.
Well, yeah, for me, it was completely random, as I think most of the things in life, especially when you are young. So the studying at Cambridge was quite time intensive and quite boring at the same time as well. Maybe it was just because of the course law. It required, 70 plus hours of studying a week in the first year, etc. And I simply wanted to find some way out so that I'm actually doing something a lot more, let's say, dynamic, interesting. And then randomly with a colleague of mine, we started playing with technology, and then at some point we realized that there is potential to build a business out of this. So I would say it was randomly found opportunity. And at this point, yeah, that was randomly found opportunity.
Yeah, I can relate with you, like when you said that you studied law and it was a lot of like mundane work. Like I'm also studying social sciences, and like organizing hackathons and like being in tech world is somehow an escape for me to relax. So what about you, Samuel? Like what was the driving force behind your decision to create vacuum labs and vacuum consortium and everything?
Yeah, well, frankly, the friend of mine, Maciej Tachnik, was a big inspiration for me because he started his own company when he was, I think, 18 or maybe a little bit later. And when he spoke about that, and when I saw that, it was like, oh, that's interesting. It's a lot of fun. I want to do something similar. So I think this was it. It was not a well thought thing, a big decision, nothing like that. We were students, so why not? Let's do something similar.
Okay, that sounds cool as well.
I would also add that, you know, once you start doing your own thing, it becomes really interesting. The work is very, I mean, dynamic, flexible. Um, you can see the impact of every decision that you make. And that's why I also wanted to sort of continue doing the same work when we now left course one. And that's why I joined Pseudo Labs as well. So it gives me, again, flexibility, impact, and sort of, it's very nice to see that every single decision that you make matters and that you can influence things. That's very rewarding, I would say.
Yeah, I can also relate with you with this, that like the nice thing about the technology business is that you make an impact that is felt, that you can see almost immediately. So that's why innovations are so attractive, I would say. I would like to clarify with people who are watching us and with hackers that this session will last 30 minutes, and then we will have like 10 minutes Q&A. So you can ask your questions either on Swapcard or at the Zoom or anywhere you want, and we will just gather them and ask them in the last 10 minutes. I would also like to ask you guys, like you were doing your businesses but studying at the same time. Like how did you manage this workload? Joseph, you can start.
Yeah. Well, you can't do both. And unfortunately, many times it means that you can't do any of the two. So I just felt like I was trying to sort of get through the university and at the same time build some value, but it wasn't, it's very different. When you're running your own thing, you need to dedicate 100% of your time, working time. So it's hard, but it's feasible. It's definitely better than not doing it.
Is it only about a good time management, or is there any secret know-how that you can share with us?
I would say that it's about good time management, but also I don't think that, I mean, I've seen and met many people who decided not to start their things because they told themselves that, well, I will not have enough time and I still need to finish my studies, etc., etc. I think you just do not have to. It's okay. It will be okay. You'll find a way how to get through it. So just don't fear.
Okay. What do you think?
Well, I would say that actually being at university was something that gave me the space to start with entrepreneurship, because being at university, at least for me, meant having a lot of free time, having a cheap dormitory to live in, and actually having a place where you can do your work from. So our first office was actually one unused dormitory room.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that it helped me a lot with starting the business, because it helped me to keep my costs low, eating cheap student lunches, etc. I was spending like 250 euro per month, and that was it. So I would say it was actually a benefit. And regarding time management, I've been lucky to study theoretical physics, which wasn't that particularly time consuming. I'm pretty sure that if I was studying something like medicine, I wouldn't be able to start my business.
But it sounds really difficult, theoretical physics.
It's not. It's it's mostly math.
Yeah.
And math has this nice property where if you are having aptitude for math, then you don't really have to memorize that many stuff because everything can be derived from the first principles. So for people who are good at math, who have the talent for math, it's something that you can spend a very small amount of time with to actually learn. On the other hand, even if you are the most talented person regarding medicine, you just need to learn a lot of facts. The same goes for law. There are just too many facts there, and it takes time. So this is some unfair advantage that math-based things have, that when you learn, you just need to learn pretty small amount of facts and you can derive everything from that.
Okay.
Yeah. If I can add, I completely agree with Samuel that depending on how the university is time consuming and how hard it is, it may be actually better and a great thing to do to start your business during the university. It doesn't have to be a compromise as I had. I mean, once you finish your studies, the life becomes more expensive. There is also a lot of pressure to find a job, etc., etc. So it can be actually a great starting point. What I wanted to say is that even if your university is very hard and time consuming, I wouldn't fear starting the business. At least you will get so much experience and you'll simply get ahead of everyone around you.
And after what
and I must also, to be fair, I must also say that I haven't finished my studies. So I managed to pass through, and it wasn't that time consuming to pass through, but I haven't finished. I dropped out in the very last year.
Okay, and then I have a question on you. Like, after what you've said, do you think that education is a prerequisite of a successful career, especially in technology? Samuel, what do you think?
Well, first of all, what does it mean, education? Do you mean formal education?
University.
Like, yeah, okay.
Education.
So, frankly, I think that whole system of education is completely broken. It doesn't really make sense, at least to me. Why should you spend first 20 years of your life doing something just in theory, so you can then start doing things in practice? It doesn't work that like that in real life. You don't stop learning after you finish the school, right? But the learning you do after you finish the school is much more tight in reality, and you have just better feedback there. And frankly, the lower education system, the high school, the elementary school, the middle school, I consider equivalent to a prison system where you put your child so you don't have to deal with them when you go to work. And it were terrible years for me. And I think it should be outlawed. The university is something that everyone chooses freely, so that's a different story. But even there, you can see that it's more like signaling game, that you just want to have a degree and you want to signal to your potential employers that you are a person who can work hard, etc. Because if it was really about education, then sometimes for some reason some lecture is canceled, right?
Yeah.
And And do you think that students are happy when the lecture is canceled, or are they sad that they are not going to learn something?
When the lecture is canceled. Yeah, I think I get your point about that. What do you think, Joseph? Is education a necessary prerequisite? Formal education, to clarify.
I don't think so at all. Well, first of all, you can't study sort of entrepreneurship. It's always different. It's always specific, and it requires, it connects like so many areas. I don't think so. It might help you to study business probably, but it's not necessary. It's not something that you can't learn over time. And second reason is probably that, as Samuel was saying, I mean, the learning curve is incredible, and it's so much experience based. I mean, I believe that entrepreneurship is essentially problem solving, and you need to get experience and find your way through difficult situations and through various situations to then be able to become better. And I don't think that you can get. I mean, you can learn this in this very different sort of university environment.
Yeah, I understand. And when you were speaking about problem solving, like, what were the biggest challenges you encountered at the beginning of your businesses and everything? Like, Joseph, you can continue with this question.
What were the biggest challenges? Well, the first challenge is that you start doing your business and you actually feel the whole time that you don't know what you are doing. Again, as I was explaining, it's not math. It doesn't have a particular right solution. It's always, every single one of those problems can be solved in tens, I don't know, hundreds of ways. So first of all, you need to get used to the fact that it's okay to not know the exact answer. And then you'll also learn that even more experienced businessmen don't know the answer either. So the mindset is probably quite hard. The second thing is, that was true for me particularly, and I think it's true for many startups. I mean, I am not able to tell you the exact number, but so many startups fail because of the problems between co-founders. So I had a huge problem with the co-founder, and we had to talk through via lawyers for a few months out of nowhere. So that was definitely the biggest challenge I've encountered so far. And then because of those legal problems, it was difficult to fundraise.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that this was sort of the problem with the co-founder was the biggest issue for me.
I also know a lot of people who started their businesses and co-founders was the problem there. Like, suddenly friends are no longer friends and the atmosphere there is just different.
Yes, so, because if you feel like stakes are high, I mean,
yeah,
there can always, yeah. So one thing that I would definitely recommend to everyone is set up a clear way of solving those problems. Because if you are 50-50 owner of the business and there's two of you, there's no way that you can solve it. So set up a clear process that you agree, that all of you agree on before or when you start doing the business. And the second thing is that choose your co-founders wisely.
Yeah.
So somebody that you think you know, and etc.
Okay. What about you, Samuel? Like, what do you think were the biggest challenges at the very beginning?
Yeah, well, first of all, I must say that I have great co-founders.
Okay.
And even though we are together, what, I think it's about 8 years or something like that, a long time. I stopped counting it.
Did you meet at the university with them?
We met at the university, that's true. Actually, before that, at high school. But we started working together much later. And frankly, when we started together, it was, there was a lot of baggage from high school. So we weren't that big friends at the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But we, fortunately, in our case, it went the opposite direction. Like it goes somewhere where big friends start together and they're end as enemies. So here we did not have that big friendship at the beginning, but it was strengthened over the time as we overcome struggles, problems, and challenges. And yes, it was challenging also personally. Sometimes you are irritating the other one, or they are irritating you, or you are angry at each other, etc., etc. But it's not about always being smiley and happy. It's about overcoming those issues. That's what strengthens the relationship.
Besides the people, like, so your team is fine, your co-founders are fine. So what were the challenges at the very beginning?
Yeah.
That you encountered?
Well,
nothing comes to your mind.
No, it's more like everything comes to my mind. Everything was challenging. You know, you start and you know nothing about business.
Blank
and
page.
Where do I get my customers? And then you get some customers, and well, I committed to develop this nice new CRM-like system for 900 euros. And it seems that, well, I'm already working on it for 1,000 hours. So those were the very...
I have a question. Like, where did you secure the first initial capital for the company? I think is one of the biggest challenges for a lot of startups and for a lot of people who are currently watching this stream and who are thinking about like setting up their own businesses, like how to go about the first inflow of money to a company. Do you have any tips and tricks, any know-how to share? Samuel, you can continue.
Well, in my case, it was pretty easy. I did not. There was no capital. We just bootstrapped. So, you know, you don't need that when you are starting a company that develops softwares for others. All you need is laptop, which I already have, and your time.
So what about you, Joseph, then? What was your case?
Well, we bootstrapped as well. Then we had some revenues from the clients. And then essentially before the first funding round, we decided to close the business down. So, I mean, there are plenty of opportunities to fundraise. Our strategy was to take the money only at the point where it's most beneficial for us and for the business. And also we have the best deal and we really need the money. So I would be lean as long as possible. Yeah, I mean, generally I would say, again, depending on the business, particular situation, etc., but I would never take money if I don't necessarily need it. Okay. And I would have a clear plan of how much I need to fundraise and from whom and where.
I think it's a good piece of advice. And regarding advice is, like, what do you think are the skills of the 21st century?
Yeah, maybe if I can just add to what you said.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead and
actually, I think that's very smart what you said. And currently we are dating with some potential investors to invest to us to enable us to grow faster. And what I learned from this is that it's really, really beneficial when you're trying to fundraise when you don't need the investment. Because when you desperately need it to survive, or then you don't get that good terms. When we talk with them and they give us bad terms, we just say, well, maybe next year, we don't need it now. So it really helps to build your company around not needing an investment, not necessarily because you don't want an investment, but because it helps you to get better terms.
Okay, and stay independent, I understand.
Yeah.
So regarding my question, like, what do you think are the skills of the 21st century? Like, what do people who are currently watching us have to learn for the future? Joseph, you can start.
I would say that probably the most important thing is problem solving, right? Critical thinking, being able to effectively find information and then construct like logical thoughts and arguments and solve a problem for sure. That would be the first thing. The second thing would be that's more into soft skills sort of area. But I think that what truly makes the difference between I don't say successful and unsuccessful people, but if you look at every successful person, most of the time they're really hardworking and they can manage their time effectively, and they put so much effort into learning and into becoming better. So although none of them is perfect, and every single one of them is struggling with their time management and with their learning curve, I would just say that I truly believe that becoming better and trying to invest your time and being structured helps a lot. And then a third thing, I think that, well, most of the business is right now done in technology. So at least having some basic overview of what it is and how it works, I think makes sense.
I agree with you. What do you think, Samuel? Do you have anything to add to this?
Yeah, well, I don't think that in general, 21st century is somewhat special. I believe that all the things that people need for success were needed also 2000 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, when you read books from that era, I mean, it weren't books at that time, but it was some scribes or whatever. You can actually learn a lot of stuff from Romans, right? Everything about eloquency, time management, and this kind of stuff. They actually had that there. So I would say that take a look at what worked a long time ago, and if it was a good thing to do 2000 years ago, it probably will still be a good thing to do.
Okay. So now a personal question, like what skill do you want to learn in, I don't know, a few years time, in 2 years? What is the skill that you're aiming for to become better in? Joseph, you can start.
I would like to understand better financial analysis and predictions. It was not part of my formal education. Again, I didn't have time, so I'm doing it right now. And then generally just become better in my job. So become better in scaling the companies and doing sales. So
what about you, Samuel?
Well, there is too much of things I would like to know better, and it's hard to pick one. Frankly, right now, my work changes every 6 months as the company changes. So it's, I would say, very opportunistic. I learn what needs to be learned. And I don't know what will be the thing that I will learn next, but yeah, there are a lot of things that interest me, and it's hard to pick one, which I would say, oh, this is the most important one.
And because we're a little bit running out of time, I will have one question on you, the last one, and then I will pick up from the questions that we have here. So, and then we can like finish and conclude the session. So it's maybe a cliche question, but what advice would you give to your younger self? What advice would you give to the students that are watching this stream? Some of them at high schools, some of them like really young. So what would you advise them? Maybe in, I don't know, 3 sentences, something really strong and quick that can like resonate in their minds. So Joseph, do you have something in mind?
Oh, I'm thinking, okay, well, the first thing that comes to my mind would be that simply don't be afraid to do your own thing. And I see it everywhere. You look at the person who is successful or who has done something, and then immediately most of the people have feeling that this person must be somehow specially talented, or he has incredible working routine and just essentially a perfect person, and that's never true. I would. The more people I know, the more successful people I know, I always see that it's so much about effort and about dedication. So one thing that I would say is that you can truly achieve great stuff if you work hard, truly.
Yeah. What about you, Samuel? What would you advise to your younger self?
Well, I would advise one thing that I still try to advise to myself every day, and sometimes I fail. It's listen to your consciousness, and what I mean by that is not only abiding some moral laws. I mean, this little voice that I would say almost immediately tells and about how to solve that or myriad of other things. It really helps if you try to listen to that voice and to avoid the state where you lie to yourself. And I don't know about you, but frankly, I lie to myself very often.
So yeah, you like when you do business, you don't see the things right, or you just think that the situation is better than it is, or how?
Yes. I very often avoid facing truth, and
to call the things with their right name, basically.
Call the things with the right name. Focus your attention that you really need to focus on this because this is not good. You have to figure it out, etc., etc. Instead of avoiding it, like, it will somehow sort itself out.
Okay, so basically also to face challenges.
Yes.
In real time.
Yes, and this is I would say this is the most important thing, that you have all the cards in your hand, and it's all about nobody else is responsible but you, and you should stop whining and you should start doing things that are important.
Okay, thank you very much for discussion, and I will now continue with a few questions that we got. So first one is on Samuel. Kosice only company, or do they have international branches? I think
we have branches in, of course, Bratislava, Prešov, Budapest, Brno, Praha, Hong Kong, New York.
Brno, Praha, Hong Kong. It sounds cool.
And London.
Okay.
And that's all for now, but we are thinking about opening new ones.
Okay. There is another question. Whether you participated in any mentorship programs and whether you think they're worthwhile. Joseph, what do you think about all these mentorships programs that are currently everywhere and everyone is like doing the startup programs and everything? What do you think?
I think, well, first of all, I think it was extremely beneficial for me that I had and I still have mentors. So those are people who are more experienced than me and went through the similar situations that I'm going through right now. It truly saves a lot of time and pain, and they are a great inspiration to me, and I'm really, really grateful to them. Second thing would be that it really depends on what the program is about. I mean, I would truly recommend to everyone to find somebody who is willing to share a little bit of their free time to help them and discuss their problems. Ideally, somebody who went through similar situations. So I would definitely recommend that. And I am really willing to do the same for other people as well. So.
Okay, cool. What about you, Samuel? What do you think about mentorship programs?
Well, I haven't had that much luck with them.
Yeah, I'm in the similar situation. Actually, like what I heard from Joseph, I can partially relate in the sense that you have to choose wisely the mentor. However, in my case, I wasn't happy with the mentorship programs that I undergone. So I can relate with you, Samuel, as well.
Yeah, but on the other hand, I must say that I consider all the people whom I can talk to and a lot of them, you know, having more experience than I do, even though not being a part of some formalized mentorship program as my mentors. So I don't look at it in a very formalized way, but definitely there are people that help me and are helping me and advising me, or I can talk with them and get their thoughts, even though they are not some official mentors. And usually then they don't really have, you know, they don't, it's not necessarily peer thing. They are older and more they have more experience than me, and usually they are giving advices to me and not I giving advices to them. But which is, I would say, definition of mentor, but it's not some kind of formalized thing, and it's not like someone set up some formal schedule. It's more like, okay, I meet that person from time to time, I ask them for help, and they do.
I completely understand. And there is one more question, and I like this question because you are both Slovaks. The person is asking, do you think it is better to start a company in Slovakia or in other EU countries? Are there any special bureaucratical problems in Slovakia while starting your business? So what do you think about Slovakia as a business scene for future startups? Joseph, you can.
I really think it depends on what kind of business you are starting. I think that Slovakia can become a great startup hub. There's so much talent coming back from the abroad, and we have so much tech talent here. So my original plan was also when building the company, build the tech team here, and then business development in the UK. Generally speaking, obviously, there are still quite a lot of obstacles business-wise and uncertainty that doesn't exist, for example, in the UK. You know, just starting the company in the UK takes 3 days and costs £13. Here, it's a very complicated, a lot more complicated process for which you need normally a lawyer. So this is just one of the examples of the difference. I would say it really, really depends on what is the target market of your business and how much and what kind of technology you need to build. But I think that Slovakia can truly become a lot better, and maybe even a lot better in the future.
What we are aiming here with Kosice is actually like contribute to to Slovakia becoming a future tech hub, and I think that we really believe that Slovakia has a potential and a lot of intelligent young people who can, with their bright mind, contribute to the innovations in Slovakia and in the world. What do you think, Samuel, about starting business in Slovakia?
Well, I would say that it's actually fairly easy.
Okay.
Especially if we are trying to compare with EU. I mean, if we are comparing to countries like Hong Kong or some other very free countries, then definitely, or Estonia. Okay, I know Estonia is part of EU, of course. Then yeah, there is a lot of room to improve, but definitely we still have actually simple laws. Our tax law is simple enough that you can understand it even if you're not lawyer. You can just read the law yourself, and after you can figure it out.
Okay.
So that's what I would say.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I think we are running out of time. There is one last question, really briefly, guys. What would you change in high school or university education? Okay, it's a complex question, but if you can choose just one thing, and then we will end the session because we are running out of time. So if you can change something in the education system as it is now, what would it be? Joseph?
It will be definitely creating and working with the information rather than just simply learning it by heart.
Okay. What about you, Samuel?
I would just cancel it. I mean,
okay, all right. So
there are two things that I don't understand. First of all, why should you spend 20 years in school? And second, why is child labor outlawed?
Okay.
I mean, children, why can't they learn through play? And at a later age, why can't they actually learn by working? What's wrong? What's so wrong with having 12 years old learning some stuff by working as intern somewhere? Not 8 hours a day, of course, but the same time they spend in school. I don't think anything wrong with that.
Okay, that's definitely an innovative approach. I would a little bit oppose because I think that like the university is the best place to find your coworkers, to find people who motivate you, to find people who are on the same boat as you are, and sometimes that doesn't happen in the workspace. I think in the workplace. Sorry. So that's only my opinion on this, but yeah, I think that there are a lot of things that should be changed in the university education, in high school education, and I like that you both showcase to the public and to people who are watching us that in young age you can do big things, and that you do not have necessarily a formal education, or you can have it and simultaneously run your business, and that it's all about like your time management and your skills and your like motivation and devotion to like finish the project till its end. I would like to sincerely thank you for your time, that you came here and then you shared your know-how, your advices, and that you, I hope, motivated young people who are watching us, and also every student in Slovakia and in the world. So thank you very much, and take care and enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you for inviting us.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.